All right, before we dive into trying to understand unit testing and all that goodness, I'd like to talk just a brief second about Jasmine, which will be the testing framework that we use and why we chose it and sort of what you need to know about it. Jasmine, they like to affectionately call in their docs behavior driven JavaScript. And if you actually go on their documentation, they have this little blurb about what it is. Jasmine is a behavior driven development framework for testing JavaScript code. Doesn't depend on any other JavaScript frameworks, does not require a DOM, has a clean, obvious syntax so you can easily write tests. All that's true. It's great that it doesn't require a DOM. May seem strange to you, but really what we're testing in our unit test is the single functionality behind the scenes. We don't actually care if you click a button, it fires off something. We care that that method that gets called when that button is clicked does what we think it does. And that can be very powerful because then you can it can run very easily during your development cycle, as well as when you go and put it into pipelines and things like that, that it can get up and running and it doesn't have to manually create a Chrome browser in the background and things like that. So that's a actually really important aspect. Now, it is worth mentioning there are a lot of other testing frameworks out there. You know, JavaScript's sort of cliche of being one of those items of like, there's a new library, new framework, new everything, right? That comes out every day of the week. And the same is somewhat true for some other testing frameworks. Each have their own sort of quirks and may actually do different things. Jest is the most like Jasmine as it's based off of the fundamental aspects of Jasmine. Then there's Mocha and Chai, which is more so used for Node JS development, and Protractor and Cypress, which is for end-to-end testing. Now, we're not going to talk about those, but I thought it was worth mentioning in case you're wondering, you see all these other testing frameworks. It's very high level what they do. So what makes Jasmine special? Well, as we talked about, there's no external dependencies. The only thing you need for Jasmine to run is Jasmine. It can also be used for front-end and back-end testing, and it's simple. That's the truth of it. And for an introduction course, it's perfect for that. Now, I want to include a resource here to the Jasmine documentation. I always encourage you to go check it out and dive into it. And next, what I'd like us to do in the next screencast here is just go and write a simple test. We're going to dive way more in detail to each aspect of this test, but I thought we'd start from scratch and then go from there.